I know you've got quite a juicy subject to talk about.
Oh yeah. I've got. I'm gonna talk about the happy ending request.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Massage and Physical Therapists Roundtable Talk Show. In the last episode, we talked about networking before COVID and during COVID. So if you missed that, go back and have a listen. In each episode, we'll discuss a topic as picked by you and share our thoughts from different perspectives within the therapy world. I'm your host, Kate Brown, and on our panel, we have Anna Maria Mazzieri, soft tissue therapist. We have Tamer Morsy, massage therapist. We have Chris Haddon, massage therapist and reflexologist. Claire King, massage and craniosacral therapist. And Imogen Tester, massage therapist. Hello. So thank you again for joining us today. In today's episode, we are looking at client relationships and handling difficult situations. So we've got quite a lot to get through in this episode, and we've all sort of chosen something different to talk about. So I think this is going to be a really interesting episode. And yeah, really looking forward to hearing what everyone's got to say. So who would like to kick us off today? Just raise your hand if you'd like to start. Chris, thank you.
I didn't want to put my hand up and then everyone else put theirs up and then it become a Mexican standoff. But I'll go for it.
Thanks, Chris.
So I was thinking about this because I'm sure, like you said, we've all got so much to talk about. But a recent one for me was related to GDPR and data control. And it's not something I've really had to deal with before with a client that was being a bit funny, quite a bit funny about it, actually. Obviously, at the minute, everything's done online. So the pre-screening with clients and the consultation forms are all done online. I've got a very sort of comprehensive consultation form together for all first-time clients that haven't seen me before. Because obviously we need to minimise, don't we, the time we're sat talking to them in the room itself. So I had an inquiry come in about a home visit. Now this was for a husband and his wife, so they were both going to have a treatment each. I don't usually do home visits, but if it's if there's two sessions, then it's worth me going and doing rather than being in my usual space for that time. So that was all fine. I sent them through the details. I never heard from, I didn't know who they were. And then the husband sent me a really long email, and it was very passive aggressive and very confrontational, actually. And it was about the consultation form that I'd sent. He felt it was too in depth. Now I don't, obviously there's questions on there about things that could be a bit personal for some people. It asks about like alcohol intake and things like about smoking, this, that and the other. And, I understand that some of them questions can make people be a bit sort of, I don't like being asked this. But he was really, really sort of just, I don't know how else to describe it other than going on one at me about it's too in-depth. He shouldn't have to provide any of this information. It's against GDPR, it's sensitive. So obviously I read that straight away and it put a dampness straight away on the whole thing. But I replied with a very nice email. I actually read it through over and over and over before I sent it, explaining why we have to ask for all this information, especially as a first-time client. It's because, whether they're having a massage or reflexology, it is a holistic thing, and we work the body as a whole, not just through the muscles, but the energy and everything. And knowing all this about the client can help us tailor the treatment to them and make it the best that it can possibly be. So I sent this nice email back, and then I thought, that'll be the end of it. And he comes back again, and he was another big email, and there was even like, when the caps lock's been turned on for certain parts of the email, and I was like, oh, here we go. So then I had to reply again, and I reiterated certain points. I sent him to my privacy policy that's on my website, explained I'm a member of the ICO, and and I have to pay for that annually to cover for any data leaks and data protection. I used Jotform for my consultation forms, the online ones, and I sent him a link to their privacy policy and how they're password protected and how it's encrypted and all this, basically everything was, and he still wasn't happy, and his final reply was just, please delete my information as soon as you have been to my house, full stop. And I was
wow, that's a huge reaction, isn't it? And it kind of makes you question if what you're doing is right, because you've got such a extreme reaction from him.
It honestly put me on edge, because it was going to their house as well, and obviously his wife, who initially got in touch to book the session, was really nice, and it was a session for her birthday. It was something. Now I don't know if he was having a session as well, maybe because she was having one, and he thought, well, if she's having one, I better have one as well. I don't know, but it made the whole thing awkward, because I was worried about going to their house. I'd never met this person before. I'd only seen what his email messages were like, so I didn't know if he was going to be like some, like, I don't know, big wrestler, or do you know what I mean, like a scary person, or what, and you're going into their house, aren't you? And when you're in their house, it's always risky territory, when and it can be worrying. I wasn't sort of, I wasn't scared as such. I just didn't want any confrontation, especially not in front of his wife as well. I just thought the whole thing was, and I was this close to just cancelling the session, because I just thought, I can't be doing with this. But then I thought, no, I've explained everything. And when I went, he was really quiet, actually. And he didn't mention it at all. And he actually had a really good treatment, to the point where at the end he was like, that's the best massage I've ever had. He was like, I really needed that. And I thought, you know what, I'm glad I went, and I'm glad I put all my effort in, because there's always a thing as well, when you have that kind of thing, you think, well, you go and you'd be like, well, I'm not doing you a good treatment because you've given me a load of aggro beforehand. But obviously you don't do that, do you? And my mindset was, obviously every treatment's going to be as good as it can be, but I was like, this guy's going to have he must definitely need it. I thought whatever's going on, who knows, we've been in lockdown, and I thought there's a lot of stress going on, everyone's working from home, maybe it's just down to that. So I went. It was a great time. And then while I was there, I also found out they were doing a charity walk for something. I'd seen the thing on the side, and I said, oh, you're doing a charity walk? So I gave him a donation as well, a little donation to the charity as well. I thought it was quite a nice touch, and you know what, it went really well. So I'm glad I went, and I'm glad I didn't just tell him to do one. And because when we get busy, it's so easy to just sort of say to someone, if they're being tricky, just don't need it, but I thought there was something there, thinking I should still go, and it all worked out in the end. But I did delete all his details after the treatment, because he asked, and I thought, right, that's it now, gone, erased, and it's let's start again. And so that was that.
Wow, that's really courageous of you. I think I would have just said no, but I think that's really good of you to have actually gone through with it.
Well, my girlfriend was saying, don't go, because what if he's a nut job? What if he's crazy? What if he like gets into an argument with you while you're there and ends up trying to like fight you or something? I was like, I'm sure it'll be fine. I was like, we'll just but yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? And especially when you do home visits as well, is you can feel a bit more vulnerable, I think, because obviously you're in someone else's home. You don't really know what's going on.
Chris, on the GDPR front, just a quick one before we move on. Where does that leave you then, in terms of, you've deleted his details at his request, but that sort of puts you as a therapist in a bit of a tricky situation where you don't have their details on file, and I'd definitely have to look into it to know, what we're meant to do in that situation, because that is really tricky. That puts you in a really tough spot.
Yeah, well, I explained to him that after sort of 7 years, things will get deleted anyway, and then we do a fresh, brand new, full consultation again if I'm still seeing you by then, and stuff. But I just thought, because he was adamant, obviously I have my client notes for the treatment itself, I've still got them, but I just deleted all his personal information that upon his request. I thought, well, there's not much else I can do about that. I can't tell him, no, I'm keeping them.
Also, if you've got a paper trail, as in you've got an email trail, well, he has requested it, then I'm sure that would override everything in terms of GDPR.
Our need of details overrides that, I believe, because you could not have completed your treatment safely unless you had those details. So some details can be deleted, but certain details, like, for example, you know, alcohol intake or water intake or medical conditions, the treatment could not possibly be carried out without those. So I believe that might override because you have to keep them for 7 years.
That
It's
is true.
really
I
tricky.
agree with with
Yeah.
Anna. Anything related to the treatment, to the consultation, this can be this shouldn't be deleted under any circumstances. What can be done is for his details, his home address, his email, but anything that he signed to approve the treatment, that needs to be kept safe, and this can't be deleted, and he can't even using the GDPR, the data protection law, they can't ask to delete it. And just in case anything went south, if anything happened with the insurance company, they need to see the consultation that the client signed. So yeah, that's just sharing some information about GDPR.
Well, we'll forget about that one for now. But yeah,
it's a complex subject though, isn't it? It's not just black and white.
Yeah, it feels sometimes like you can't win either way, you know, and I guess you've just got to make that call, haven't you? You know, and make your own personal judgment. If something did come back on it, I would, like you said, I'd use the email string and the whole confrontational part of it as a thing, you know. But anyway, it was all fine in the end, and yeah, but. Yeah, it doesn't happen often, but when you get ones like that, it makes the whole thing not as enjoyable as it's meant to be, you know. But yeah.
Yeah, that sort of shakes you up, doesn't it? And yeah, reminds you to make sure that you're doing things thoroughly and have your ICO registration paid and all those things.
Well, I mean, that's a thing in itself that a lot of people I don't think realise they need to be signed up to, you know. I know I see loads of massage therapists that aren't signed up to it.
Massage therapists, if you're listening, please make sure that you're registered with the ICO. That's the Information Commissioner's Office, I believe. It's only like 30 or 40 quid a year or something like that, but make sure that you have it for GDPR reasons.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Anna Maria, would you like to carry on and tell us a bit about your difficult situations?
I thought about discussing about the issue that sometimes we have when a client have a treatment and they come back and they say, oh, actually, I didn't feel that well after your treatment. In fact, I felt a little bit worse after the treatment. And that, I'm sure that everybody probably experienced it, or you know, they feel a little bit thrown out of it, isn't it? When we do the job because we love and we want to improve people's life, and that the person comes back and said, oh, actually, you know, I felt much worse after the treatment. At least to me, it completely throws me out, and you feel a little bit of a panic. You know, what did I do? You know, have I caused any damage? Although we know not much damage can be caused unless we apply really, really, really deep pressure. So the first reaction I always find that is, oh, every therapist says, oh, it could not be me. It could have been my treatment because I was very gentle, I was very mindful. But actually by saying that, the client always puts up a barrier and say, oh, what do you mean? Actually, I came to your treatment. After your treatment, I didn't, you know, I feel worse. I feel more irritated. So that already brings up a barrier to that very important therapeutic relationship, therapeutic alliance. So the reason why somebody can feel worse after treatment can be a myriad, and some of them are specific effects, some of them are non-specific effects. However, what I find is very, very useful is to actually validate the client's feelings. We don't even have to say, yes, it was the massage or it wasn't. It's to actually just there and listen, because ultimately, does not matter what you've done, that client or that person, sorry, is coming to you, saying to you, I feel not well, I have pain, I felt worse. We need to validate that by listening to them, by making them feel valued, and by also reassuring them that actually sometimes the tissues get irritated, the nervous system gets irritated. And if the tissues go irritated, what the person needs, it needs to be supported and needs to be reassured and being positive, that actually they can feel better again. Because when the client comes to treatment and after they feel a bit more in pain, what there is there is fear. There is the fear, oh my God, something happened, or did the therapist do something to change my anatomy? You know, did something? And well, actually, we can explain the tissues gets irritated. Sometimes this tissue gets irritated physiologically, because if you provide too much deep pressure or too much a friction area into an area a little bit more, but often, and this I would say more often than not, those tissues gets irritated because an area which was already hypervigilant has been touched or has been moved. So it's not uncommon for an irritation to happen, but the irritation then is made even worse by the fear of the clients. And then if they come to us and we say, oh no, it couldn't have been my treatment, that to me is the worst things we can do. I know that from insurance perspective, if something like that happens, we should never show our liability. Of course, you don't have to show liability. Be sure that with massage, unless you do certain manipulation, I even argue even about manipulation, you cannot actually do lasting damage. So there could be an irritation. So reassure your client and work with your client, support the client through the time of irritation. But the biggest one is just listen to them. Don't just go back and say, oh no, it couldn't have been me, it could not have been me. Work with a person that is in pain at that time. And that is the most important. In fact, if I know that, don't we all have those clients that come to us and you know that they're a little bit more hypervigilant, they're a little bit more sensitive, I always make an absolute point to call them 2 days after. The call, the 10 minutes call, makes them feel they are supported through the healing process and would prevent any, let's say, any negative outcomes to the treatment. Because actually, if they get a little bit sore after, that you can already let them know. Actually, 0 to 3, we are in safe area. 3 to 5, you know, maybe change the movement, and 5 to 8, change completely the exercises you're doing. But 0 to 3, you're safe. The body is okay if it feels, you know, you're in a safe zone. So that's what I wanted to talk about, because I hear a lot of therapists that they get quite panicky. And, you know, I would like to say to the therapist, relax, because there is not a lot of damage you can do to the tissues unless, you know, very specific situations. But also don't put the barrier up with your client. Listen to them, validate.
Yeah, giving them reassurance.
Giving that support and reassurance.
Super, oh, what's the right word? Important. We'll go with that. Yeah. And I suppose as well, helping sort of set expectations right after the treatment to let them know that, you know, they may experience some mild discomfort within the next 24 hours. They may get a slight headache, these sort of things that sort of let them know. And then they can expect that they might get some mild symptoms afterwards, and that's, you know, that's okay, and how to deal with that.
Indeed. To me, the really important part is that removing the fear. Because when they feel, I'm not talking post-treatment effects, I'm talking, you know, sometimes people comes in, you're working on the shoulder and the person feels more irritated. Is the fear that they have, because they already comes to you with the shoulder, for example, say the shoulder, very, very painful, and you're working on the shoulder, the shoulder, the tissues around that, they are already hypervigilant, and then all of a sudden somebody works on it, they might react differently. So they might actually be a little bit more sensitive. And then there is the fear that the person might say, oh, you know, she done something, she has done something to cause more damage. No, it's a sensitivity which is not uncommon.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Anna, for sharing
Thank
that.
you.
I never judge them. I don't get offended. I don't attack them. I don't tell them that I'm going to report them to the police. I just tell them, oh yeah, that's not massage.
The Massage and Physical Therapist talk show is brought to you by Massage Warehouse. Run by therapists for therapists, we're committed to solving common issues you might encounter in your massage therapy practice. Like Richard Melrose H2 Oil Water Dispersible Massage Oil. Are you fed up with your massage oil marking your covers and sheets as well as your clients' clothes? Our Melrose Oil dissolves in water without the need for harsh detergents, giving you the perfect massage oil without leaving a trace. For more information on this product, simply visit our website www.massagewarehouse.co.uk. Now, back to the show.
Claire, would you like to continue? Tell us about your difficult situation.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about listening to clients and the possibilities of oversharers, for want of a better word. So what I would say, first of all, in my experience, and when I say overshared, I've been doing this for a very long time, so I don't really find anything shocking. I've heard lots and lots of stuff, but I'm just using that word because it's happened a few times in my very long career that people, I guess, they feel like they've overshared. And I would say that there's a handful of people that have, I don't feel like they've overshared, but they have, and it was just kind of throwing it out there to say that they don't come back normally. I would say, in my experience, there's a few where they feel like they've said too much. It's really, really personal, and that has happened. I've heard some very, very personal stuff, and they don't come back. And I just wanted to kind of reiterate that that isn't your fault. As in, it's not their fault for sharing. It's not that. It's just kind of the way of the world. But what I kind of wanted to say is listening and how you respond is that I have learned over the years, and it's about kind of not being shocked by stuff. So it may be when you're face to face and talking, you know, pre-consultation, things might come up, and it's about kind of pacing yourself, I find, and listening and really acknowledging what they say. And this kind of reiterates what Anna was saying as well, that kind of just really hearing the client, and then not being shocked. If you feel, you know, and kind of just in your body, if something kind of triggers you a little bit into feeling a bit shocked, it's just about giving yourself a bit of space to respond in a really gentle way. So it might be just to reiterate what they've said, or it may be a line that's like, that must have been really hard for you, or, you know, or how does that feel? You know, I work a lot craniosacrally as well, so often I will say, well, how does that feel in your body? But also for massage therapists, that's a great thing. Like, so how is that kind of manifested in your body? You know, bringing it back. So maybe it might not be then as personal for them in terms of they've overshared, because you're asking them, well, how's that feel? That must have been really hard for you. That must have been really stressful. Where are you feeling it in your body? And they might say, oh, my neck is really, really sore today, or my stomach feels really tight. And I might say, well, would you like an abdominal massage today? You know, so it's just about listening, acknowledging, and I guess trying not to be shocked by things that may be shocking. But then, yeah, just to kind of reiterate that sometimes that just happens, that they don't come back, and that's okay, you know, because they may feel like they've overshared.
That's a really good tip as well, about sort of bringing what they're saying back into a therapeutic context and asking how it's, you know, affecting them in their body, because, you know, then you're completely right, you're sort of diffusing possibly what they've, you know, accidentally overshared as being too personal, but you're bringing it back into that professional
so I
setting.
guess it's just listening, giving yourself a moment to kind of sit back and pause and think, you know, how is this you know, is this kind of triggering that person? Do they feel uneasy, you know, and how, just, you know, well, how does that feel now? How are you feeling today? How are your stress levels then? That must have been hard. Like, so, and then, you know, if you, you know, diffusing but nicely by saying, okay, well, let's get you on the couch, you know, let's get you on the couch. Let's give you a really nice treatment. Let's kind of, you know, make you feel better. And I guess also if they're sometimes it's difficult if they're, you know, face down, you're massaging their back and they're really, really kind of chatting and they're oversharing in that way, that can be trickier, you know, but I always kind of invite them again just to say, I'm really happy to talk, but really happy if you need some peace and quiet and some space as well, you know. It's a tricky one, I find.
It
I don't
is
know about
tricky,
anyone else.
but
I find that tricky.
I think you have a really good way of handling that, and just, you know, really fulfilling your role as the therapist, and, you know, not involving yourself in the conversation otherwise, but just kind of being that therapist.
And also,
role.
I think one last thing, if they apologize for it, I always say there is no need to apologize. You know, I think it's just really good to emphasize that there is no need to apologize. You know, there is no judgment here, which is one that I use a lot, because, you know, it's nice to not feel judged and, you know, have to apologize for stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, lovely. Thank you, Claire. That's great.
Pleasure.
Tamer, would you like to continue the chat? I know you've got quite a juicy subject to talk about.
Oh yeah. I've got. I'm gonna talk about the happy ending requests. So basically, I think a lot of therapists are getting those type of requests, and I'm gonna agree with Claire in what she's saying, that I'm not here to judge anyone. A client who is asking for a happy ending, he's just going to the wrong place to ask for a specific service. So I'll talk about myself personally. I never judge a client. If they ask me for a happy ending, I never judge them. I don't get offended. I don't attack them. I don't tell them that I'm going to report them to the police. I just tell them, oh yeah, that's not massage. So I play my role in elevating people's awareness. I think over the past few years, we've got a very big increase in the awareness level of people understand now what massage can do, what massage is. But there is still the minority that think that a happy ending is within a massage. It comes with a massage as a service. I can't change that. It's a fact, so I can't change it. I'm accepting it, and I'm just trying to play my role as a therapist to change people's awareness about that. I get that a lot. Every single week I get, as I was sharing, about 5 requests. And for me, just very professionally, no, that's not a massage, that's something else. What I do is just body work. So, and I always keep the door open for this client. If this client decided, or they understand in the future, they understand what professional massage is, and they come back to me and ask me for a massage, I'll be very happy about that. But if I attack them, if I offended them, I'm the first one they will avoid to contact when they want a professional massage, and I don't want that to happen. I've been working on this for a very long time. I manage, or I'm still managing. I'm very close to remove the ego from the equation. I've seen a lot of people who are getting very offended about it. Once someone asks them for a happy ending, they get very offended. Oh yeah, I've spent this many hours studying anatomy and pathology to get this type of request. No, it's not our fault. It's not our responsibility that the client is asking a wrong request. It's their problem, and at the same time, we don't need to take it out on them. It's just, you know, if you go to a shoe shop and you ask for burgers,
that's a great analogy.
If they laughed at you, what you're gonna do whenever you want actually a shoe. Will you go to this shop? Someone just laughed at you. Someone made you feel uncomfortable. Again, I'm not validating the request itself. I'm just saying that you are asking for a service from the wrong person. So I don't do this. And one of the hardest, and I always, whenever people, I always try to keep the door open for them to come back again when they decide to go for professional. One of the trickiest one, a tetraplegic patient that came to me, and after arranging everything, tomorrow is the treatment, and I do home visits. So I don't have a practice. I do home visits. So basically, I'm always at the client's place. So yeah, a person with a spinal cord injury, basically he doesn't walk, and basically after arranging the treatments, after going through everything that we're going to do, the consultation, had a call with him, and then he just asked me, oh yeah, do you do happy endings? Just okay, no. The question was, shall I keep the booking? That it took me about 12 hours to make a decision that no, it will put me in a very vulnerable position. If anything went south, I'm going to be in a bad position and especially in this case. One of the hardest situations, it wasn't hard to be honest for me, that happened to me, that a client grabbed my glutes during a treatment. In the middle of the treatment, I'm doing the treatment, I'm putting the arm, I'm stretching the arm, and the client just grabbed my glutes. What I did is just I put the hands back on the body and I resumed the treatment. I was able, I'm able to deal with this situation. I'm able to, again, not to take it personal, and I'm able, my only goal in a treatment is to deliver the highest quality. That's it. A massage therapist, that I have a very specific role, is to deliver the most effective treatment. I'm not there to do anything else. If I was threatened, if I was getting nervous, I would have ended the treatment instantly.
I think that's a big difference with perhaps someone like you, who's like a confident male, but if you're a small sort of female, you're not very confident, you know, maybe you're quite new to it as well.
Yes,
that situation would feel very different.
And that's why I totally agree with that. That's why I remember when we were studying massage, a total contraindication is to feel threatened. So it's not, I'm not saying here that this is the best way of dealing with the situation. The best way is the therapist's way. If you feel nervous, leave straight away. It's just leave straight away. If you're working at a spa, go and report the client, leave the room straight away. There is no anything that you will, if you try to push yourself to deal with the situation differently, that will compromise our treatment. That will compromise the quality of our treatment. And if someone complained about it, we are responsible for that. If you feel threatened, leave straight away the place. If you can handle it on your own way. There is no right way to deal with it. It's all about the personal, the therapist way. So yeah, just never feel threatened. That never put yourself in a situation where you feel threatened, because that will affect the quality of the treatment. That's.
I was just going to jump in there and just say as well, obviously being a male therapist makes it shouldn't be different, but it's seen differently, because there's not as many anyway, I feel, male therapists. And you said someone's, grabbed your glute mid-treatment. Now, obviously, we could laugh that off and sort of be like, like, if you told your mates that, they'd all be having a right laugh probably and going, oh, bloody hell, that's funny, But obviously, if you were a female and a bloke had done that to you, it's then seen as completely out of order and possibly even getting police involved, this, that, and the other.
It's out of order anyway. I mean,
yeah, that's what I mean.
The boundary is gone. Why do they think? First of all, why do they think even to ask? About the happy ending? Why do they think that it is okay? Secondly, it's just a boundary. Even it's just, for me, it's a no. Male, female, big, small. you know, that does not make any difference. There is a very specific boundary within the professional, and that, you know, unless somebody does something to what do you call it in English, to welcome that, I think we need to be very careful not to make it acceptable.
Yeah, I agree.
That is very true. Why it's happening, it's not, I don't think that, or me personally, I'm not thinking about why it's happening. I'm thinking about my way of dealing with it. That's the only thing that I put all my energy in. If I can handle it, I'll handle it. If I can't handle it, I'll just leave straight away.
I just feel as a male, you might be in a better situation to handle it. Just because I don't know, you know, you just feel a bit more. I don't know. You know, you don't feel as vulnerable. Maybe you know. I'm not saying. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of female therapists that would have turned around and punched him or her in the face. You know.
Yeah, we are generalizing. Obviously,
yeah.
there are exceptions, but I think generally speaking, you're more vulnerable as a female in this situation. Although that's obviously not always the case, but. Yeah,
and that's what people think. So if someone was to have grabbed my bum while I was doing a treatment, honestly, I'd have told my mates that, they'd all have laughed. You know, they'd all laugh and be like, "Oh, that's funny, isn't it?" You know. But like you say, if I was a female and I told that story, their reaction would have been completely different, and it would have still, as a male, put me in I'd have felt very awkward if that would have happened in a.
Yeah, of course.
I do get offended professionally, actually, and unlike Tamer as well. People, I'm sure there are maybe instances, but people would very rarely go to a chiropractor and ask that question, or to a doctor and ask that question, but they think it's acceptable to come to a massage therapist and ask that question. And if we're going to take our industry up a level and have good standards and be accepted as professionals, you know, as those as chiropractors or physiotherapists or other professional industries are, then if you accept that behavior, then it is sort of saying that, oh yeah, you know, we're a bit fluffy, we're not as, you know, it's a bit ooh. And I do get offended at that, because, you know, I think I would try really hard to improve myself and learn and educate myself, and for then I have to say, I genuinely have never been asked that question, but for people to think of massage in that way, is it, you know, as a generalization, or was it a bit sexy, and then yeah, I that does trigger me, I have to say.
I think there's more of a sort of a global issue going on of that, though, in that there's a lack of education about what the different types of massage is. We have the traditional massage parlours, which are on the high street that you can go into and have whatever else. And it's not to say that sex work isn't important and thrive, because it absolutely is, but it's just that they're different. And I think that's where we have the problem, is kind of defining the difference between.
Well, the very fact as well that the government classed us as massage parlours as well. I mean,
yeah, that was unhelpful.
That was really, I'd say that was really unhelpful.
Okay, guys, thanks. That's that's a big subject, and we could talk about it a lot more, I'm sure. So thank you, Tamer, for sharing your stories there. And Imogen, would you like to tell us about your difficult situation?
Another one really about boundaries. I guess I've been quite lucky in my massage career that I haven't had too many issues, but I did beauty therapy before I did massage. And I remember an incident when I was very new. I'd only just qualified and I was working in a salon, and I had a client for a manicure, and she was an older lady. She was very confident, and she had ridges on her nails and she wanted them buffed. So I did what I thought was appropriate, thinking gradually we can work at things. And she didn't accept that, and she wanted me to buff them more and more and more. And because I was nervous and new, I let her push me into doing a treatment that actually in my heart I felt was wrong and was too much. And I didn't have the confidence to say, no, I'm sorry, that's, you know, I'm the one who's trained, that's enough. And so I carried on doing what she asked, more and more and more. And a couple of days later, she came into the clinic and made a complaint that I bruised her nails, which I had. And I was really lucky that the owner of the salon really backed me up and defended me. But it was a big lesson learned, and I've sort of then taken that experience forward now into massage, that when I get clients who maybe ask me to do something I'm not happy doing, say pressure, you know, you get clients who say, oh, you can't hurt me, you know, no pain, no gain, you know, stick your elbow in and all of that. I'm now happy to say no, and happy to explain why. And it's having that confidence then that of that boundary to say, you know, if you want that, that's fine, but I'm not going to do that because A, I don't believe it works, and B, I don't want to hurt you. So if you want that, that's fine, but you can go somewhere else for that, and maybe lose that client. But I would rather lose that client than them have a bad experience or get hurt and then go and say, oh, you know, or sue me even, and then say she hurt me or she's rubbish. So it was just about that, having that belief in yourself, no matter how new you are, no matter how experienced you are, just, it's okay to say, no, that's not what I do, even if it's out of your scope. So it might be that someone's asking you a question and you genuinely don't know the answer. Instead of trying to sort of fluff it through or do a treatment where you think, oh, I don't know, should I be treating them? Should I be referring them on? It's okay. And they might be upset in that moment that they didn't get the treatment they wanted, or you weren't able to give them the answer that they wanted in that moment. But it's better to say, do you know what? I don't know. And I'm going to go away and read about it, or ask someone else about it, or I'll get back to you, or do you know what? I'm going to refer you on. This is someone I know is really good, who is qualified to give you that answer or give you that treatment. And generally the people that I have done that to have sent their friends back to me, or come back to me when it's appropriate, and have been really happy about that. And the people who haven't, that's fine. I did no harm. And it's just about having that confidence.
I think that feeds also back into what Anna was saying. Or Anna, you weren't with us for the last episode, but you gave us your notes about the importance of having a good network around you of different therapists that you can refer to in instances where, you know, you're not going to meet their needs in the way that they need them to be met. So yeah, I think that's great. If you're feeling like you're not able to provide the treatment they want, that you can refer them on to someone that is more suited to that.
Yeah, and it's really nice having, you know, I'm quite lucky. I've worked with a few different people who I trust that I'll send to them, I'll send my clients to them, and when it's appropriate, they'll send clients to me or send those clients back to me. And I know they're good. I know they're evidence-based. I trust them. And people who I annoy and message, like Anna, to help, I don't know what's this, what should I do? And I'm really lucky. And it always seems, certainly when you're referring clients on, I've always found that almost the more you refer clients out, the more you get back. So it's not something to be scared of, like you lose people and suddenly you won't have any clients and your column will be empty. I felt it works completely the opposite way, and they, yeah, you seem to get more back.
Thank you for sharing that, Amy. So I'll just wrap us up with one last subject before we close the chat. So I'll mute myself properly. Yeah, I was going to talk a bit about cancellations. I know that that's something that we have seen even more of during COVID, and of course, you know, mostly for good reason. But it is a really sensitive subject, and I've certainly had scenarios where I've had really good clients who I've seen, you know, a long time, that I have a good personal relationship with, and you know, they've forgotten about a booking and they haven't turned up, and so I've lost, you know, my treatment fee for that one, and I've enforced my cancellation policy, which I think the one instance that I'm thinking of at the time, it was only £15. And the client never came back, and that really upset me, because this was a client I had a very good relationship with, and that I'd provided lots of good treatment to, and I felt I felt very hurt that they didn't respect my time. And this has happened sort of in similar scenarios a few times over my career so far, and I don't really have a sort of an answer as to, you know, how you should properly deal with it. But the thing that I've found to sort of best educate my clients and protect myself is to make sure that I have a really clear cancellation policy in place, and that they see that before they book, and they see that again when they get their appointment reminder, that it says what the cancellation policy is, how much it is, etc., so that they understand. And I'm sure that still, despite doing that, you know, some people will still get annoyed and some people may still not come back. So it is a fine line, and I guess sometimes, you know, you can use your discretion depending on what the situation is to say, you know, I'm not going to charge this client, but it's still your time. And that's what I find very difficult, is I only see 3 clients a day because I give a lot to each client, and so that's a third of my, you know, daily income gone, and I'm not sure how much clients ever really sort of fully understand that, but I think you have got to protect yourself. I've also had a couple of scenarios where I've felt, you know, pretty angry at the person. Maybe they've, you know, messed you around a few times and you sort of knew that they would, and then they did, so you're kind of annoyed in your head. And yeah, my tip would just be, don't write a reply whilst you're angry. Like, let the emotion subside. Don't write a message to angry for anything in life. Like, don't write it to your partner, to anyone. Just calm down and then write a message, and just make sure that, yeah, you're not putting, you know, any emotion into that. Just be very matter of fact as to what it is. Yeah, good life advice. Life tips from Kate. Yeah.
So Kate, we did because this is a really common thing, isn't it? We actually did a survey with our client base, and we used the survey as one, to understand what they felt about cancellation fees, but 2, to give a strong message without giving the strong message. Yeah,
good survey. Yeah. So what was the result?
So most of them, they really, really, really do not mind paying a cancellation fee, not the full price, paying the cancellation fee. Lots of them said that's the way we do it individually. So sometimes you have, you know, that somebody's going through a really, really tough time in life, and they miss your appointment, and it's so unusually of them, then be flexible, because he said sometimes it can happen you as a therapist that you have to cancel your clients at the last minute as well. So you are a little bit of flexibility on that, but overwhelmingly nobody minded to actually pay a cancellation fees, which we put at 50%. But what was interesting, that everybody enjoyed the fact of being asked. So the fact that they've been asked, it was something, when I spoke after to the clients, if they feel, so because it was a survey monkey, so I said, oh, did you feel? She said, that was really good. She said, because there is always an awkward thing. But with the survey, then it's like we gave a very strong message. And so that's something, but it's a really difficult one, isn't it? I don't know if you know, but
idea though. Yeah, really good idea.
Sports Injury Fix, they do a system, you know, a booking system, where actually you got the possibility to, we use Sports Injury Fix, but I don't use the particular feature in my clinic, where you can, with the appointment, you send the payment link so that they pay in advance. The type of clients we have, and been in practice for a long time, it's not something that I want to go down the road, but for somebody new, it could be a very good option.
I was just going to say, I found using the online booking system helped, because I never used to use online booking. And then obviously if someone's just sending you a bank transfer or paying you cash, for instance, if they don't come, you're going to struggle to get to enforce it. So I had a few instances of regulars not showing. So I switched to online booking system. Like I use Fresher now. Used to be Schedule, I think it was called, because it's free. Doesn't cost me anything other than the small percentage of the when you check the client out, and the fee at the end of the session. But it just makes it really clear to them that there is a cancellation fee if they cancel late. And it's 50. You can set that. You can choose what you have it as. I have it as 50%. But the problem is, if you've got regular clients then that asked to book with you direct rather than through your booking software, and then they don't show. It just makes it so awkward to think. So I just tell even my regulars, I just say, oh, it's much easier to just book online because my calendar's up to date on there and you can choose what session you want. And that way, if they for any reason have to cancel late, they're aware they've got to pay. And I think it's set if they no show, actually do not, if they actually just don't turn up and don't actually cancel it, then it charges them in full. Now, obviously, if they were to get in touch with me and say, listen, my dog's just been run over, I couldn't get there, then I would obviously, at my discretion, I would obviously refund that and just sort of say, don't worry about it, it's a one-off. But if it was someone that did it all the time, I'd just leave it, because at the end of the day, as you said, if you're only doing 3 or 4 clients a day, we've all got mortgages to pay and bills to pay, and it's your, if you went to the cinema, you'd buy a ticket, and if you didn't turn up, if you didn't go, they won't give you a refund. You'd have to still pay for your ticket or whatever, even restaurants do it now. They take the deposit and stuff. So I think people should just be used to it.
Yeah, totally. No, and I use an online booking system as well now, and it has helped me a lot in that way because, well, to put it bluntly, you already have their money, so you just kind of refund the difference or rebook, plus they pay a bit more. So that does help a lot to have an online booking system with a payment integration with it. The one relationship I struggle with the most, ironically, is to people that are really close to you, that friend client or someone, and they sort of, are just too flaky, and, they don't realize how important it is if they, change at the last minute or something. So I don't know if any of you guys have any good tips for dealing with those clients that are sort of more friends that just fluff about.
Just tell them to book online. Just say it saves you time on admin if they just do it online, and then that way, if they cancel, it'll automatically charge them, and they'll get the point. That's what I'd say, anyway.
I have to agree with Chris, because actually you already create there the boundary. Say, look, to make this one really professional, because you want my absolute professional approach. Actually, let's go through the booking system because it does help me with. Once you let it slip with friends and family, it's a really difficult one, because it can be, with friends, you can be doing them several in a week. That's quite a big loss of money if they cancel. So
yeah, great. Oh, well, it's been brilliant chatting to you all today. There've been some really good subjects, and yeah, it'd be good if we could explore some more of them in more detail another time. Perhaps we can do that. But yeah, so thank you for joining us again today, panel. You've been brilliant. Thank you to listeners who've tuned in. If you'd like to be alerted to when the next episode goes live, just hit the subscribe button or sign up to the newsletter in the description below. So until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.